na Tunisia. Tanzania vile vile, ili kurahisisha upatikanaji wa fedha kwa ajili ya kilimo, Benki Kuu ya Tanzania kufikia 9%. Tunaendelea na jitihada za kuwavutia wanawake na vijana kwenye kilimo, ufugaji na uvuvi, na jitihada hizi zinaratibiwa chini ya programu ya Jenga Kesho Iliyo Bora au Building a Better Tomorrow, ambayo imezinduliwa na inatekelezwa maeneo mbalimbali nchini. Jitihada nyingine ni pamoja na utekelezaji wa programu ya viwanda katika kilimo, yani Tanzania Agro-Industrialization Program, ambayo imejikita katika kuongeza thamani ya mazao ya kilimo, kuimarisha miundombinu ya umwagiliaji, utafiti na uzalishaji wa mbegu bora, na kuimarisha mifumo ya masoko. Mheshimiwa viongozi, ndugu washiriki, nimetoa mfano wa Tanzania, lakini na hakika jitihada mbalimbali zinafanyika kote barani Afrika. Jana tulikuwa Kenya, tumesikia Kenya wanachofanya na hatua iliyofikia. Hivyo ni rai yangu kwa washiriki wa maendeleo au washirika wa maendeleo, washirika wa AGRF na sekta binafsi kuziunga mkono serikali za Afrika katika jitihada za kuendeleza sekta ya kilimo. Hatua hizi ni muhimu sana katika kuimarisha mifumo ya chakula na kuhakikisha uendelevu wake. Na katika muktadha huo huo, natoa wito kwa Afrika kuonyesha mshikamano na nchi ambazo sababu mbalimbali ambazo nimezitaja hapo mwanzo katika hotuba hii. Mheshimiwa viongozi na ndugu washiriki na washirika wa maendeleo, katika kutumia fursa za uwekezaji zinazolenga kuleta mageuzi katika mifumo ya chakula nchini, ni matumaini yangu kwamba mkutano huu utakuja na mapendekezo yatakayoliwezesha bara letu kuhakikisha uendelevu wa kilimo na mifumo ya chakula, kubuni mikakati kuhusu na lishe miongoni mwa nchi za Afrika, kufungua fursa za kilimo, biashara na fedha kwa ajili ya kusaidia mifumo ya chakula kwenye ngazi za hasa ili kuongeza usalama na uhimilivu wa chakula za nchi za Waheshimiwa viongozi, ndugu washiriki, mabibi na mabwana, sasa nihitimishe na niwatakie kila laheri katika maazimio yenu. Asanteni sana kwa kunisikiliza. Karibuni Tanzania. Waheshimiwa viongozi na ndugu washiriki, katika utambulisho nilimwacha Waziri Mkuu mstaafu wa Benin, Mheshimiwa Zinso. Yuko pamoja nasi hapa. Asante sana.
Let's give a big round of applause to Her Excellency President Dr. wa Kenya Kiswahili. Amesema sana, lazima nimtetee rais wangu Ruto, kwa sababu najua sisi wa Kenya na wa Tanzania sisi ni mandugu wa karibu. Wa Kenya tunazungumzia wa Tanzania kwa Kiswahili kibaya, wa Tanzania wanatujibu kwa Kizungu kibaya, tunaendelea, tunasonga mbele kama Injili. Ama namna gani? What I said is that Tanzanians and Kenyans were close friends. That's all, nothing more. Well, there are a few other things there, but this is a family matter. We're going to leave it there in the level of Swahili. We won't get into it Najua our foreign ministers, January Makamba and Alfred Mutua, understand. So we will leave it there. They can discuss later among themselves. But I really appreciate that. We apologize that the translation did not work for parts of Her Excellency's speech. It was really inspiring talking about what Tanzania is doing to transform the food systems here. And she talked about the commitments, international commitments, like the Malabo Declaration, and other initiatives that the country is doing here. President Samia Suluhu Hassan said, we should not be complaining as Africans. We have vast water and mineral resources here. 60% of our population are the youth. We have everything we need here to transform our food systems. Do you agree? I didn't hear the right applause for that. I think. And one of the things that Her Excellency talked about, like in the last 2 financial years, her government has quadrupled their agricultural budgetary vote. So from what it was 2 years ago, it was about $100 million. In the last financial year, it was $400 million, quadrupled the budget going to agriculture in Tanzania. And she also acknowledged the contribution of the youth who were meeting here this morning and what they want to transform the food systems in the continent. And she said that Tanzania is ready to work with stakeholders and other investors to transform the food systems here in the country. Nimekosa ama nimepata, Rais? Asante sana. As Africans, we love music. We are a musical people, and it is now my pleasure to introduce Angel to entertain us. Angel, tafadhali. Ndio yule pale. Tafadhali mumkaribishe. Please give a big round of applause to Angel.
Wi-Fi. Iya, inaitwa admin,
Asante sana, Angel. Thank you so much. I never thought a song about agriculture could bring the house down like that. Did you ever imagine? Umetisha sana. Asante. Another big round of applause for her. That is the most fun song I have ever heard about agriculture. And the youth say they are ready. Congratulations, Angel. Ni malaika kweli kweli. It is now my pleasure to invite to make her framing remarks on setting the vision for the continent, the CEO of the African Development Agency, AUDA-NEPAD. Please welcome to the stage Ms. Nardos Bekele Thomas.
Good afternoon, everybody. I think I was caught by surprise. Your Excellency, my dear sister, President Samia Suluhu Hassan, the United Republic of Tanzania, Your Excellency Macky Sall, President of the Republic of Senegal, Your Excellency Dr. William Samoei Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya, Your Excellency.
Mwanangu umepata watu wengi sana. Leo simu umetumia nini? Nini ya nini? Hii ni YouTube au nini na hiyo?
General Winnie, President of Zanzibar, and Chair of AJRF Partners Group. My dear brother also, the former President of the Republic of Tanzania, my dear brother, Mr. Kikwete. Who did I finish? The honorable ministers present today, my dear sister, who's brought us together, who is the president of AGRA, His Excellency, the former president of Nigeria. I'm so sorry. Well, you know, I'm a Nigerian, so I should pay you respect. Partly Nigerian. And all protocols observed. And my sister from the UN. It's just too much to recognize in all your honored to address you, Your Excellencies, on issues of food security, issues that are foremost on our development agenda as continent. Before I delve into the substantive issues, allow me to congratulate His Excellency, Her Excellency, President Samia Suluhu Hassan for hosting us today to what seems to be a very successful summit. Congratulations, my dear sister. As always, the warmth and hospitality of the people of the United Republic of Tanzania is a source of pride and joy for all Africans. I would also like to congratulate His Excellency President William Ruto, who earlier this week hosted a highly successful first ever African Climate Summit in Nairobi. The Nairobi Declaration on Climate Change, agreed by heads of state at the just ended summit, offers a clear continental vision for tackling climate change while also pursuing our development goals. I would also like to congratulate His Excellency, the President of Senegal, His Excellency Macky Sall, for the food summit that was held last year in Dakar. Excellencies, distinguished guests, I should say that today, more than ever, there is a resounding message echoing from every corner of Africa, and it is crystal clear. From our leaders, government officials, to our esteemed development partners, from the dynamic private sector to the tireless champions of civil society, and above all, our women, our youth, the heartbeat of our future, our voices unite as one. Africa is a nation rising against all odds. We are rewriting our narrative, one that has too often been overshadowed by the paradox of plenty, where abundance coexisted with deprivation. Today, we stand united, acknowledging that this narrative is changing. Africa is awakening to the realization that we possess not only the resources, but the resilience, the innovation, and indomitable willpower to overcome our challenges. We are and remain the architects of our destiny. Building, ladies and gentlemen, resilient and inclusive food system for our continent is the most pressing challenge of our generation. As we speak, more than 250 million Africans are hungry, with the world still emerging from the devastation of the COVID pandemic and the ongoing Ukraine-Russia war. Hunger and malnutrition on our continent is set to worsen in the coming years. A worsening climate crisis, alarming rates of land degradation, and persistent marginalization of a large majority of smallholder farmers, especially women and youth, are a dangerous cocktail of mutually reinforcing crises that are converging into a perfect storm that would further threaten our food security and livelihoods. Excellencies, I concur with the conveners of the summit on the need for a quantum leap if we are to overcome the challenge of our food insecurity on the continent. The current food crisis is a wake-up call for the continent to take immediate action and steps to radically transform our food systems. It is a reminder of the urgent need to accelerate the implementation of the Comprehensive Agricultural Development Program, the CAADP, our continental framework for agricultural transformation and agriculture-led growth strategy, which is, by the way, translated already into regional investment plans, and this has percolated to national investment plans. All this is to achieve ambitious targets on food and nutrition security as outlined in the Malabo Commitment. On the 31st of October this year, we will commemorate the Africa Day for Food and Nutrition Security in Lusaka, Zambia. This day shines a spotlight on nutrition-sensitive agriculture as the basis for producing safe and nutritious food. Nutrition-sensitive agriculture plus nutritionally rich foods and dietary diversity are at the heart of interventions to overcome malnutrition and micronutrient deficiencies. Current efforts to build adaptive capacity of production systems and natural ecosystems are nowhere near what is required to keep up with the pace of climate change. The quantum of both public and private investments required to build system-wide resilience of production systems, livelihoods, and infrastructure is at least tenfold the current levels. Equally critical is our efforts to reverse the current high rate of land degradation, which threatens the sustainability of our food systems. It takes hundreds of years for topsoil to form. We lose 24 billion tons of this fertile topsoil each year due to unsustainable land and soil management practices. Today, more than 75% of the continent's cultivated area is degraded. Restoring the health of degraded lands is critical for overall human development, as land is a vital life support system for livelihoods and ecosystems. Healthy soils provide the foundation to raise the agricultural productivity, increase on-farm biodiversity, and reduce the pressure to expand agriculture into fragile natural ecosystems. There is well-established evidence showing that increased soil health improves water and nutrient use efficiency, leading to profitable farming and resilient production systems. The African Fertilizer and Soil Health Summit, planned for 5 to 6 November 2023, is a result of growing appreciation by African heads of state that our soils are the bedrock of our food systems. Building a resilient and inclusive food system hinges on our ability to reverse the high rates of land degradation and restoring the health of our soils. We expect far-reaching decisions to be taken at the summit to outline a roadmap for restoring the health of our soils. Excellencies, we are working with member states and other partners to adequately support farmers, especially the millions of smallholders who are the backbone of our food production on the continent. These farmers need sustained support to transition to modern and more resilient production systems and to connect better with markets to boost incomes. Equally critical is inclusive value chain development to open up opportunities for women and youth, including for processing and value addition. Innovative financing to cater for the unique circumstances of smallholders and agribusiness innovators, including ensuring access to affordable credit, is a critical condition for success, and we all know it. Excellencies, allow me to conclude by emphasizing that we are redoubling our efforts to drive practice change to transition our food systems towards climate-smart, regenerative practices that balance the need for healthy soils healthy diets, healthy people, and healthy planet. Our DANEPAD remains unwavering in our commitment to achieve continental goals on food and nutrition security. Working with our partners, we are strengthening our programs with a view to making them more impactful, scalable, and sustainable. We are constantly reviewing our delivery models and theory of change to better define pathways between our interventions and intended outcomes. These improvements are also being cascaded to our member states through technical and advisory support for improved program design, development of business cases, and resource mobilization to support implementation. I would like to thank AGRA for their collaboration and cooperation in really translating these plans into action at all levels, both at regional and also national levels. Finally, I would like to reiterate something. And because our heads of states and governments are here, I would like to appeal that, yes, we have recognized the fact that that food systems, the development of food systems and agricultural transformation is really fundamental for economic, social, and political transformation. It's also a day where we have recognized that we have unfulfilled promises and that there are deficiencies. And here we are committing ourselves to really make sure that we redouble our efforts and correct for the past, but also plan for today and tomorrow. And therefore, foresight planning is important and critical. Two is, in light of the quantum leap, recover. We cannot wallow in crisis. Crisis cannot define us. Building resilient food systems is critical. And here, I guess, we are all together committing to that. The third one is regenerate sustainable agricultural practices, regenerate our soils. And it's very critical and very important that we do that. In order to do that, excellencies, it's very important that we tackle the issue of coordination. There is so much wastage and there is so much leakage. And yet, the resources are finite. And we're running out of time. Need to coordinate, need to have a systems approach for upscaling and scaling up of our interventions. It's very important also that we approach the whole integrated approach, integrated strategic management approach to food systems, because we're talking about systems. It's not the agriculture ministry that would be responding to the challenges. Education, health, agriculture or food systems is about education, it's about health, it's about, it's about infrastructure, it's about IT. So all these need to be handled in a strategic management. Those countries like Ethiopia, Rwanda, Tanzania, name it, and others, to food system and agricultural transformation have succeeded. Let's learn lessons from this. And finally, also, inclusivity is critical and very important. We need the investment in human capital, critical for progress. We need to make sure, like Tanzania has done, and we have been supporting our DANEPAD, many countries, in training and bringing skills to youth so that they can own land. Even if they don't own land, we can lease land for them and use it for agricultural production. And therefore, integration of youth is critical and very important. Integration of women and promoting women in agriculture is critical and very important. And acting, we have to implement, we have to act, leveraging on digital solutions. We have got technology on our side. Let's take advantage of it, let's act, let's implement at scale. Finally, I say regional collaboration for food security is becoming important, is the linchpin of success. Our data underlines the potential of regional trade agreements in bolstering food security. Implementing the African Continental Free Trade Area fully could potentially increase intra-African trade in agricultural products by up to 70%. Let's act collaboratively for a food-secure Africa. Finally, to our development partners, please help us and be with us at all times. It's not a promise, unfulfilled promises, like I said earlier on, has consequences. Please, when we promise, when we pledge, it has to be serious and you have to accompany us. No one is perfect. If there are areas for improvement, we can improve them together. But partnership should be with, full trust, and we need really predictability. And therefore, I think with those, I would say thank you very much for having me here and for this intervention. Thank you very much, Excellencies.
Another round of applause for her, please. Thank you. She said we cannot wallow in crisis, and she talked about some of the crisis we're facing. It's now my pleasure to introduce the first of two panels we'll have this afternoon. I have three speakers coming up here to chat real quick. Ms. Melinda Bohannan is the Director General of the Humanitarian and Development at the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office of the UK. Please join me on stage, Melinda. Also, please give a big round of applause. She came a long way to talk to us. Also joining her on stage is Mr. Roger Voorhuis. He's the President, Global Growth and Opportunity Division at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and a member of the AGRA Board. And last but not least, Mr. Svein Tor Holzeta, President and CEO of Yara International. I'm going to need to, the theme is recover, regenerate, and act. And I think Ms. Bekele Thomas talked about one of those issues. We keep talking about the Ukraine war and how that's affected Africa's food systems, the grain that would depend on from Ukraine. So I'm sure they will be talking about that, as well as highlighting practical solutions and the role of sustainable farming practices on the continent. And finally, on the subject of ACT, they will be outlining actionable strategies for mobilizing investments and required policy and financial reforms, both from the public and the private sectors. The only lady in the group gets to go first. Melinda, please go ahead.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, Excellencies, it is an absolute honor to be part of this panel representing, thank you, His Majesty's government and the United Kingdom's partnership with Tanzania. I want to start the debate, and I will start by saying recovery and why it matters. Africa's food system transformation has been battling continuous invasion of Ukraine on food countries continue to endure. This has had a deep impact across global food.
I apologize, Melinda. Do you mind a little closer so we can hear you?
Sorry, absolutely.
Thank you.
Hope this works. The deep impact across global food, fertilizer and fuel prices, and the fragility of the system. I'm afraid in this crisis-prone world, those sort of shocks are going to continue, and at the same time, demands continue to rise with demography, with demographic growth. So this makes recovery and greater resilience absolutely essential, because to use a phrase from our previous speaker, crisis cannot define us. And we all agree that the how involves an interconnected strategy. Food systems are complex. They're very heterogeneous across different countries and crops and value chains. As we know from a recent study by the Rockefeller Foundation from April this year, creating more sustainable food systems, it called for a deeper understanding of these interconnected contexts to crack the silos and join the dots. And joining the dots requires us to think as much outside the sector as within. It means thinking about the macroeconomic, the investment enablers and at scale. Food projects. 4 things: the coherence, as outlined powerfully by Madam President, unity of purpose, research and deployment and data infrastructure. Firstly, particular crop, this observatory with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the African Development Bank, the World Bank, JICA, GIZ and the Islamic Development Bank to reduce the import dependence chain. Secondly, driving coherence amongst partners and stakeholders. And I want the United Kingdom to be known as a committed partner to coherence and helping to lead the way. We know there are multiple donor and philanthropic programs across the food system sector. These all need, and the post-Malabo process, which we've heard so much about. Practically, this can build on existing models. The United Kingdom support to COMESA, third-phased food value chains in Africa, seeds, soil, climate adaptation. We know, for example, if we are developing a structured rice market in the medium and long-term needs of a particular crop value chain is essential. Being targeted and focused to align those efforts will minimize the mismatch between great R&D outputs and the adoption by agribusinesses and farmers. Finally, supporting continued development of data will ensure harmonization of cross-border trade policies. So in conclusion, a quantum leap for Africa's food security will require all of us to act together, governments, partners, youth, business, women. We know action for transformation requires us to act regionally, work in partnership, and anticipate those future trends to ensure resilience and agility and responsiveness and growth. I'm really proud to say that the United Kingdom is a passionate supporter of Africa's food transformation agenda, and we look forward to seeing what happens next after this conference.
All right, thanks a lot, Rob.
Thank you for inviting us here today. I just want to actually start by saying what an exceptionally inspiring week it has been in Africa. I started the week in Kenya for the Climate Summit, and President Ruto, thank you for your leadership there. You have made an incredible statement of Africa's commitment in leadership and climate. And then, Madam President of Tanzania, the focus today has been one of the most successful AGRFs I have ever seen as a board member of AGRA. So thank you for inviting me here today. I have to tell you, I'm a little intimidated in agriculture, and I know a little bit of the lessons, we call them in the Gates Foundation, around COVID, around conflict, and around climate. And today, as the Minister of Agriculture in Tanzania talked about, we had a roundtable with African ministers. And what we heard were African solutions and African ideas for building resilience and for recovery. And I got to tell you, I was both inspired and challenged because the future ahead requires not just recovery, but applied to a new situation in the face of the headwinds of climate change. So we've got to build a sustainable food system in Africa ever in the history of the world come out of poverty. First in China, second in South Asia. And I stand as an equitable food system that everyone needs to be against agriculture. It's going to have to include the